Japanese government officials are highlighting the lingering impact of the Fukushima nuclear accident. They say radioactive material the reactors released 4 years ago is still Japan's biggest environmental problem. Staff at the Environment Ministry released their annual white paper. They say some parts of the country report high levels of radiation. They say communities near the crippled nuclear plant are suffering depopulation and the economic damage resulting from rumors and misinformation. The ministry staff propose ways to help those communities recover. They urge municipalities to generate more power from renewable sources, and they suggest using some of the revenue to support businesses that help evacuees move back.
Students in Fukushima are trying to see past the challenges of the present and envision a promising future. Some had their studies interrupted when the earthquake and tsunami triggered the nuclear accident. The prefecture ran 5 high schools near the Fukushima Daiichi plant, but the massive radioactive fallout forced all of them to close. Classes have continued on a temporary basis elsewhere. Now, this has forced some of the students to live apart from their families. Now, these evacuee students have graduated. NHK World's Ryo Asami shows us what life's been like for them.
This is the temporary home of Futaba Shoyo Senior High School. Its original building sits 5 kilometers from Fukushima Daiichi. But students and teachers have been coming to this university facility 40 kilometers away. 49 children attend classes here, a quarter of the old student body. 17 of them are seniors, including Tatsuya Endo. He's lived nearby for the past few years.
My first expectation was that our lives would go back to normal soon, but it was dashed. I was disappointed.
Endo calls this serviced apartment home. Fukushima Prefecture offers the accommodations to students who live away from their families. It's hard at first.
I wanted to go back to my hometown when I moved in, but I decided to change my perspective and focus on learning various things from this place.
Most of the students need time to adjust, but they soon get used to taking care of themselves, and they meet friends. Takeshi Nakamura has been teaching this group since freshman year.
The students don't talk openly about their hardships or about the nuclear accident, but they must have various things to consider after the disaster displaced them from their hometowns. They must have gradually gotten over their concerns.
Now, the 17 seniors are preparing for what's next. They graduated on March 1st.
Keeping the memories of these past 3 years in our hearts, we'll look ahead and move on, feeling proud as the graduates of Futaba Shoyo. We could not return to our original school building, but we believe it will be filled with the smiles of future students.
These students believe the challenges they face will only better prepare them for adulthood.
I want to be a teacher. If possible, I want to return to my hometown to make children smile.
We, the graduates, will face various problems, but each of us will be able to overcome them given what we have been through.
Endo says he wants to follow in his father's footsteps and become an auto engineer.
It's like my school days ended in an instant. I'm very happy to have many memories at this school.
Endo and many of his friends share a similar vision. They say they hope the skills they acquire down the road will help them rebuild Fukushima Prefecture one day.
Teams of robots from around the world are competing for a $2 million prize in the U.S. state of California. Engineers have designed the robots to respond to natural and man-made disasters. The two-day DARPA Robotics Challenge is pitting 23 teams against each other. Four of the teams are from Japan. At the simulated disaster site, the entrants remotely control their humanoid robots in a bid to tackle 8 tasks. They included driving a vehicle, crossing a debris field, and opening a door. The teams are judged on how many tasks they can complete and total points earned. The competition was launched by U.S. Defense Department Research Institute. It aims to help develop robots capable of assisting humans in rescue and restoration operations. Members of the institute say the 2011 accident at the Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan helped motivate them.
Naohiro Masuda is in charge of the entire decommissioning process at the Fukushima Daiichi. He brings valuable experience to the job. He has worked as a nuclear engineer for decades. Masuda says radiation in some areas of the crippled reactor buildings is still so high that workers can only stay there for a few minutes. The hardest part of decommissioning the plant will be removing the fuel that's cooled and turned into highly radioactive debris.
We have no idea about the debris. We don't know its shape or strength. We have to remove it remotely from 30 meters above. But we don't have that kind of technology yet. It simply doesn't exist.
Japanese government officials have decided to aim for a 26% reduction compared to 2013 levels in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. A government task force on climate change made the decision on Tuesday. Prime Minister Abe says the country's target is ambitious and on a par with international standards.
The reduction target gives shape to my administration's goal to reduce Japan's nuclear power dependence as much as possible, while introducing significant energy savings and sources of renewable energy.
Abe also said Japan is determined to lead global debate in the run-up to the UN climate change conference scheduled at the year end. Cuts in carbon dioxide emissions from power plants and corporate activities are expected to make up the bulk of the reduction, or nearly 22 of the planned 26%. The remainder is to be achieved through cuts in other greenhouse gases and by counting CO2 absorption by forests and farmland. The government plans to solicit public opinion for about a month and present the target to the UN possibly in July.
Officials have unveiled plans to double the amount of spending by foreign visitors. The government aims to achieve that target when the number of tourists from overseas hits 20 million a year. Cabinet ministers have outlined the goal in a new tourism action plan.
The number of foreign visitors to Japan so far this year has risen more than 40% from a year earlier. The government has decided on the action plan to maintain this trend and bringing tourists to regions across Japan.
A record 13 million foreign tourists visited Japan in 2014. The government aims to hit the 20 million mark by 2020, when Tokyo hosts the Summer Olympics. The action plan calls for increasing spending by foreign visitors to 4 trillion yen, or about $32 billion. It recommends tripling the number of tax-free stores in rural areas to 20,000. The government plans to select high-quality local services and products to promote them overseas as special regional brands. It also plans to improve the quarantine system to make it easier for the visitors to take home food and agricultural products.
Just before he left Tokyo, Prime Minister Abe announced the location of next year's G7 summit. He said the leaders will gather in the Fukushima region of central Japan. He made that choice from 8 candidate sites.
I chose the Ise-Shima region because it is a beautiful place where world leaders can enjoy the beautiful nature and the rich cultural heritage of Japan.
Really? That's great news. I hope the summit will vitalize the region.
I hope the summit will be a great success.
The cities of Ise and Shima are in the southeast of Mie Prefecture. They face the Pacific Ocean. The area is famous for its natural beauty and historical sites. Members of the imperial family, as well as the Prime Minister and other government leaders, often visit the ancient Ise Shrine. It draws 10 million visitors every year. The Ise-Shima summit is likely to take place on the small island of Kashikojima. Local officials say it would be easy to ensure the leaders' safety there.
Officials in Beijing say boosting consumption and investment in central China as a way to offsetting slowing economic growth. People in one city in the region are forging international ties as part of that strategy, and Japanese companies are playing a key role.
A Chinese airline this month launched direct flights between Wuhan in central China and Nagoya in Japan. That comes as people in the Chinese city have seen their incomes grow in recent years. Many of them can now afford to take holidays abroad.
I'm visiting Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. I wanted to see the cherry blossoms, but they've already gone. I want to have hands-on experience of Japanese culture.
This is my first visit to Japan. I'm retired, so I decided to see Japan in my spare time.
But growth in central China still lags behind coastal areas. The Chinese government in 2006 launched a development plan for the region. It includes boosting consumer spending. Local officials in Wuhan see promoting Japanese products as one way to loosen people's purse strings. An event to publicize goods from Japan was recently held at a shopping mall in the city. The facility is a joint venture between Chinese and Japanese firms. Visitors sampled cosmetics and food. They tried on traditional happi coats and yukata kimono.
We'll provide help in areas like logistics, customs clearance, and quarantine to make sure Japanese products reach Chinese consumers quickly and cheaply.
Officials in Wuhan also hope the One Belt, One Road plan launched by President Xi Jinping will expand growth in the region. The idea is to strengthen ties between China and Europe to boost mutual prosperity. Xi's plan is expected to help Wuhan's economy. A forum to discuss his strategy was recently held in the city.
The One Belt, One Road initiative is now underway. Work on the plan has progressed from the planning phase to implementation. We want to strengthen ties with countries and regions along the road so we can work out policies together.
A Japanese expert on the Chinese economy welcomes the policy, but he says there's still a lot of work to do.
I believe that strengthening ties between Wuhan and the 6 provinces of central China and linking the city to the One Belt, One Road plan and the Yangtze River Economic Zone are key challenges.
Many people outside of China would have a hard time finding Wuhan on a map. But that could change if plans to promote the economic development of the country's central region are successful.